Here are some basics of using Pixlr. You're going to go to the Pixlr.com website, and to start off with, we're going to open Photo Editor. This brings you to an online photo editor that's much like Photoshop. I'm going to choose Open Image from my computer because I already have a picture I want to use. Start off with, I need to rotate this image. The image menu over here is going to give you a lot of control for size of your canvas, size of the image, and how to rotate it. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. The basic interface opens up with the navigator here, which is like a zoom. If you zoom in and you want to move around, just hover your hand and you can zoom in on what you need to do. I'm going to zoom all the way out here. Here are your layers, which we'll use later on. And here's your history. So you can see the first thing that I did was I rotated my canvas and it registers there. If you need to crop your image, it's the first thing you'll probably do, and that's the first tool in the upper left. And say you want to crop in on a certain aspect of the photo, it'll give you a little preview here, and these lines give you sort of a guide. And I'm going to move that around. I think I want to get the little bit of the skyline in there, and I want most of the waterfall at the bottom of the page. I think that'll look pretty good, and then you hit return and it gives you an image. So before and after, you can see the rotate canvas here, and then I go to the crop tool and you can see that I have a better image, but I think I want a little bit more of that sky in there, so I'm going to go back to rotate canvas and I'm going to recrop a little bit bigger this time, and I'm going to try and get this rule of thirds guide to land right at the just under the edge of the waterfall, and I think it's going to give me something that's a little bit more about what I'm looking for. So I'll make the image a little bit bigger and hit return. I think that looks a lot nicer. Other adjustments are under the adjustments menu. So your brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, and all of these. As a rule of thumb, work from the top down. So start with your brightness and contrast. If you want to up or lower the brightness, I'm going to lower the brightness and increase the contrast a little bit and hit OK. But I still feel like the colors are a bit dull. So I'm going to go to the next one down, hue and saturation, and I'm just going to push the saturation up a little bit so it makes the greens a little bit greener and the reds in those rocks a little bit more red. You can play around with these different options here and see what you get. It really is just depending on your image what you should do. We'll go back to adjustments here. You can do a color balance, so say it's a little bit too blue, you can offset it a bit, and I think I'm going to do that just a touch, and that will increase the saturation of these colors here, and I'll just work my way down. You don't always have to do all of these things, but I'm just going to show you what they do. So here I'm going to crush the darks and make them a little bit lighter, or bring down the lights, and I don't think this image really needs that. And these are your input and output levels. It's really easy to overdo it, so you can do a before and after and see what the original image looks like by comparison. And lastly, I'm going to do this. This is curves. This little graph, anything in the middle here is your gray values, anything at the top is your lights, and anything at the bottom are your darks. So say I want to make my midtones darker, I will drag them down and you can see what that did. Or say I want the midtones to be lighter, I pull it above that line. Subtlety is really the key with the curves tool because you can really kind of make this thing crazy really fast, and here I'll show you what it will look like once I start to mess with those curves. Say you don't like one of these nodes, click and drag it off. Click and drag it off and it's gone. Okay, once you're done, you get the image the way you like it, and you're going to want to do a file, save, and change the name of it. So we'll do a save as, so we'll do Yellowstone edit. I'm going to choose JPEG format, and I'm going to bump the quality all the way up to 27, or sorry, 100. hit OK, and then it will ask you where do you want to put it. I'm going to pop it out onto the desktop for now. And there it is. Lastly, you can go in and change the image size, and this is what you're going to do for Blackboard. The image is 16 by 2400. It's way too big for Blackboard. I'm going to drop this down using the slider, or you can just type it in. So 500 is the maximum width that we're going to use, and make sure this constraint proportions is checked off. You hit OK, and it made it a lot smaller. I'm going to do another file save, and I'm going to call this web edit. Bump the quality all the way up. Hit OK. Send it to the desktop. And that's all for now. And I don't have to save it because I've already done that. So when I go out over to the desktop, you're going to see I have two images. Pull these over. I have the web edit and I have the regular edit. So I've done two saves. I've saved a larger version and I've saved a smaller version for Blackboard. And that's what you're going to use to load onto Blackboard.